All right, we are recording.
Yeah.
All right. All right, so welcome everyone to our club meeting. We've got our normal club business to take care of, and we've got a couple of extra things we need to do as well because it's November. We've got our officer and board elections that we need to do, and we also want to ask the membership opinion on a club donation to Weave as well. So we'll take a vote on that when we get to that step. And then Larry Forman is going to be presenting our main topic for tonight for about an adventure in antenna launching. So we'll get to that shortly. Let's get the club business out of the way first. So Phil, we'll do the normal club membership and treasury updates.
I'll take care of it.
Okay.
Currently, we have 147 paid members in our club out of a possible 170, so we're looking pretty good. And I haven't added them in yet, but I've got one new complimentary member that just joined recently. And it pretty much covers our membership. And from the treasury side of things, we're currently sitting at a club balance of $7,904.97, of which $2,347.43 is in our repeater fund. This year has been fairly expensive from a repeater standpoint. We've spent, what did I have listed here? We've spent $1,334 on repeater issues this year, which is fairly high for us. It seems to go in like 3-year cycles. For 3 years, nothing happens, and then we have a bunch of things, and then we're quiet again for a while. So we're in good shape monetarily. We're in good shape membership-wise, and you're going to be in even better shape when you have a new treasurer.
I know.
All right. We'll get to that shortly.
We have been happy with you, Phil, for sure.
You've done a good job, Phil.
Yeah. You're looking for kudos.
I was hoping for a cup of coffee.
Hey, come on to my house.
Come on to my house will come on.
Amen.
All right. All right, moving on. Carol, do you have a club website update for us this month?
Sure, if I could share my screen. Try that. Is that working?
It is now.
That's good.
Okay, very good. This is my name is Carol, Kilo Papa for Mike Delta, webmaster for the River City Arcs, and this is a report for October activity on our website. Let's see. Okay, just a reminder that our website URL is n6na.org. If you have any questions about any of the club activities or any of our nets, or even our online swap, you should go to that URL, and we try to keep this updated quite regularly. Reminder again, if you haven't renewed your membership for 2021, you can do that online now, and it's good through the end of 2021. Just click on the link here on our homepage, and it'll bring you right to the page where you can go ahead and do that online if you wish. Let's see, next. Okay, also the Lilo Frank Award for exceptional service. Nominations are open until the 15th of November, so you still have an opportunity to put a nomination in for a club member who you would like to see recognized for their exceptional service to the amateur radio community. And this will be presented at our December meeting. Also, nominations, I guess we're still open for nominations until we actually hold the elections here later on this evening. So just wanted to remind you about that. Also, our nets tomorrow night, we will have our nets. Of course, the health and welfare net is every day, Sunday through Saturday at 7:30 p.m. on the 145.25 megahertz repeater. And tomorrow night, we have our regular weekly nets, 8 p.m., 2-meter net on the 2-meter repeater, 145.25. Then our 10-meter net is at 8:30 p.m. and that's on 28.420 megahertz upper sideband. Everybody's welcome to check into all of our nets, by the way. And then at 9 p.m. we have our slow scan TV net. That's on the 441.30 megahertz repeater. And we are now live streaming it on YouTube. So we're getting viewers from outside the area and even from outside the country. So it's great if you want to see what image transmission is all about on over a voice channel and just see what we're doing up there on 441.3. Website activity for the month of October. The total page views increased from 1,762 in September to 2,651 in October. I guess people being indoors more with the cooler weather, they're checking onto our website more often. That's quite a jump there. And of course, the peak views was the day after our the October meeting, as people go on there to look at the recording of our meeting that we post the following day. The most active web pages was our home page with 614 page views, then our 10-meter page with 408 page views, and then the magnetic loop project page with 156 page views. Speaking of 10 meters, it looks like we're getting some band openings, changes in propagation now. And also the solar cycle is starting to pick up. And people are getting more interested in 10 meters because we're getting some DX coming in on there. So it's a really interesting band. And of course, technicians have access to that band. So why don't you join us on our 10-meter net as well? So get a little bit of experience on operating HF. Views of our website by source, 53% were referred by Google search, and 22% came to us directly through our URL, n6na.org, and the rest from several other sources as well. And of course, we have visitors to our website from all over the world. So these are the countries that people have logged onto our website to look at our information up there. We also are very active on social media. A YouTube channel over the past month had 1,212 views. We have 255 subscribers, 6 of them are new in the past month. Our Facebook page, 424 followers. We have a Twitter page with 138 followers, and we have our Discord server also. 14 of our club members are on there, which is a good, we actually set this up originally just for a field day chat, but it's still active, and people are using it to chat among our members here. So everybody's welcome to use that as well. Just a reminder again, our website is n6na.org. If you have any thing you would like to suggest to put on the website, like any swap items you would like to sell, or perhaps you're looking for something you want it posted there, you can send an email to us at contact@n6na.org. And those are the links also for our Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube pages. And that's it. And we return it back to our president. Thank you very much.
Carol, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Unrelated. I recall you mentioning you worked with Glenn Elmore, N6GN.
Yes, yes.
Were you ever involved with his subject surface wave transmission lines?
Yes.
I think there might be some opportunities there. I'm trying to get a hold of him.
Oh yeah, yeah. Maybe like to speak for the club. I think that sure. I'm sure I could. I talk to him practically every week.
Do you really?
Yeah,
you
I
know,
can.
he had a little thing in there about using those Mylar balloons with his launcher.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't help but think those of us who are vertically challenged, that might be a clever way to deal with 10 meters.
Sure. Yeah, I could go ahead and get in contact with him. Also, I would like to put a shout out there to Kevin, KN6 Lima Papa X-Ray, recently licensed, and just heard him on the air yesterday on our repeater for the first time. Congratulations to you, Kevin, and welcome aboard.
Thanks, Carol.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations, Kevin. All right, thanks, Carol. So let me just bring up these slides again. 1 minute. All right, so just a quick refresher on the on the bylaws for our elections, if we have 2 or more nominations for a position, then we have to ask for the club to vote. But if we only have 1 nomination per position, then the officers are elected by acclamation and we don't need to vote. So let's go to the nominations that we have so far. We have Jojo, who's been nominated for the combined treasurer and membership chair position. So do we have anyone else who would like to nominate themselves for that position?
No.
Okay, hearing none, then congratulations, Jojo. Welcome to the board. And then standing for re-election, Gert is standing again for secretary. Do we have anyone else who would like to stand for secretary? Hearing none. Okay, so congratulations, Gert. And then vice president, Tom. Do we have anyone else who'd like to nominate themselves for vice president? Hearing none. Okay, congratulations, Tom. And then myself, I'd like to nominate myself again to continue to be president. Does anyone else want to nominate themselves for president of the club?
Congratulations.
Okay, thank you.
Congratulations.
Pleased to continue. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
And thank you.
Thank you, Jojo. Thank you. And then we have 2 board nominations as well. So Marty would like to nominate himself to stand again for the board. Do we have any other board nominations? No, hearing none. So congratulations, Marty. And then Phil nominated himself to retire from treasurer and take a board position. Do we have any other nominations for the second board position? No, none heard. Okay, so congratulations, Phil. That was easy.
Definitely.
All right. Congratulations, everybody. And then the other thing we wanted to ask the club about, typically in December when we have our club meeting, our holiday club meeting, we normally have the Sam's Hofbrau place. We book that for our meeting. But in place of that, we'd like to ask the membership if instead of spending the $300 to reserve that facility and what we'd normally spend on that event, we'd like to ask if the club is okay if we donate that money to Weave this year. So we need to take a vote whether we agree on that donation. And we'd like to try something different this time. We're going to try a poll on Zoom here. So I'm going to press this button and you should see a voting window pop up on your screen. And it's an anonymous vote. So you can go ahead and vote either yes or no. And if we get a yes vote, then we'll donate that $300 to Weave this year.
That's pretty cool.
That works pretty
This is
good.
Peter, Canadian
That was easy.
I have no problem with the donation, but for those of us who may not know, what is the organization Weave?
Women escaping a violent environment, and they take care of women and children who are in harm's way so that they can be removed from a otherwise hostile environment. And they provide
Fabulous.
for
I
Christmas
fully
and so on. I hope that's an adequate summary.
That's pretty good.
That's fine, thank you, and very worth an important cause.
It is.
That's true.
All right, and looks like most of us have voted, but it's unanimous yes anyway. So we'll go ahead and make that donation on behalf of the club this year to Weave in place of our holiday party. All right.
Hardly can you post the results?
Sure.
How many
sorry, I
people
was-
Can you not see the results? How about now? Can you see the results?
Yes, that worked.
Yay, there you go.
100%.
Unanimous decision.
Look at
There
that.
That's more filling sensation than food.
How many people are on today?
25.
25.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kevin, are there any hanging chads?
Let me look really close. No, I think we're okay.
No Chads in the group, right?
Yeah, Chad didn't turn up today.
Maybe hanging Kevin or whatever,
I do know a couple of guys named
but they're not hanging.
They're not
Yeah.
hanging.
And the question is, Did everybody press the button? No, just kidding.
All right, thanks everybody. All right, I think that was all of our club business. So we can hand over to Larry. Do you want to do our main presentation for tonight?
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yep,
Yes.
hear you. Yep.
No.
And, Larry, before you start, I'm going to mute everybody, then I'll just unmute you.
Okay.
Let me try this. Oops, hang on. Hang on, I've lost you. Oh,
Okay.
or maybe you can unmute yourself. Yeah, that works. Okay, we're good. Okay,
I unmuted myself.
that works. Okay.
Okay, let me, good evening. My name is Larry Forman, and I'm a relatively new club member. And I've got a presentation here, so let me share my screen and we could start with that. And then I found a couple of videos also, so that you might find interesting after I do my PowerPoint. So here I'll share my screen, and somewhere I will find, what the heck? Wow. Hang on. Oh, I see. Hold on. No, I don't see.
Green thing at the bottom.
Let's see. I could share the screen, but I want to select a. Oh, here. I'm looking for my PowerPoint presentation, so give me a minute here. Where the heck is it?
Did you have it opened up already?
I thought I did. Let's see here. Well, here we go.
You can see your desktop. Yeah, that works.
There we go.
There you go. Okay.
So now, if I can just go here. Okay, so can I close the, there we go. Okay, I think that's better. All right, so tonight I would like to talk about my adventures in antenna launching. And so first of all, what is an antenna launching, and specifically a pneumatic antenna launcher? So here's a photo of one. This looks somewhat similar to Phil's that he loaned me. This one I think is a little bit smaller than his. And it says CSV 17, and that means compact sprinkler valve. So the main valve, which is here, is a modified sprinkler valve so that it operates faster than it would normally. And there's a little trigger mechanism for that. And the pneumatic chamber, which is a pressurized air chamber, where you would take an air source, a pressurized air source, typically using a bicycle pump, and charge that up, and then you load this cylinder here with a tennis ball, typically about a 4-ounce tennis ball, and then when you press the trigger, it opens the valve, and then the pressurized air ejects the tennis ball. So that's what one looks like. And so what involves a pneumatic launcher? Well, first, pneumatic, as most people know, means it's containing or using air or gas under pressure. And for this, we launch a tennis ball. We pull a thin line up into a tree or a high location. You could also maybe aim for a location in a tower, or if you've got something like that. And then a larger line is attached once you have your original, either a small line, like a survey line, or a fishing line. And then a larger line is attached and pulled up so that eventually you're then able to take and haul an even heavier antenna wire. And what different alternatives might you use? I have a slingshot and I have a crossbow, and I considered using those. The problem with those is that while it might get the line over, the problem is when whatever the weight is comes down, either the weight or the arrow, you've got a possible problem. I was concerned about possibly taking out one of the skylights in my home or something like that as it came back down to earth. 73 magazine years ago even suggested using a black powder cannon, and and I don't recommend that. And then a couple days ago, I was searching YouTube videos for antenna launchers, and one of the hams actually had a 22 caliber launcher, and the concern, and was talking about how much better that was than a tennis ball launcher, a pneumatic tennis ball launcher, because it would go higher. It's also considerably louder. The 22 caliber is like the sort of thing that was used in construction trades to drive a nail or set a concrete anchor. And so I don't recommend that. That 22 caliber launcher, if you look at it, launches a piece of iron about the size of your fist up well over 150 feet. So that's a real concern. And you could also try either climbing a tree or possibly a drone. So I actually had a fellow stop by, and here he is a third of the way up my palm tree. That's what I wanted to put the line over. And he stopped right there, a third of the way up, and he's looking in this area. There's actually a hole in the side of that palm tree where it's diseased and rotten. It's the last remaining palm tree out of a set of 6 that were planted in about 50 years ago. So he and I agreed that it was time for him to come down. So he was very reasonable. It was like maybe $50 he climbed that tree and put the antenna up. So that was reasonable, but he got stopped because of the condition of the tree. I just noticed recently an Italian ham site, and it shows where you could have a drone, and there we've got a palm tree. And if you take the drone and go vertically, carry the line, and then go over horizontally, you go up to about twice the height of the tree and then drop it back down. And I have my next door neighbor offered to loan me his drone or to help me do that. And I declined. My concern was not so much going up with the line or going over with the line, but coming back down. If something were to happen and the line gets tangled, then I could just envision myself having a drone hanging from the palm tree like a Christmas ornament, and not being able to reach it, and owing my neighbor for a new drone. So I said, no, I think I'm going to pass on that. Also, there was some concern living about 3 miles from the executive airport, but I think probably we could go up twice the height of the palm tree and over, but I decided against that. So I was left with using a pneumatic tennis ball launcher, and all the reasons for using that involve safety, and more safety. Tennis balls are large, they're soft, they're visible, available, and inexpensive. So, and the launchers, like the one that was shown there, are typically about 17 to 19 inches long and will launch over 150 foot high with about 80 pounds of pressure. And so most suitable trees that you would look at are not over about 130 feet. And most launchers will easily clear 150 foot. And the nice thing about them, unlike the 22, is that they're very quiet. They have a big whoosh, and not one neighbor came out to see what I was doing with this. So it worked fine. Now, one of the questions is, are these launchers regulated or illegal? In the US, the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms has ruled that pneumatic launchers are not considered firearms. Now, there always may be some municipalities that have regulations, so you may have to tread lightly. And the concern about slingshots and bows is that they may be generally considered illegal to use in residential areas, parks, or campgrounds, along with the safety of whatever it is that you're shooting. How much does the pneumatic antenna launcher cost? The materials for that could cost from maybe $60 to $100 or more. And you could get launcher kits where all the pieces are primarily machined or cut to the right length. You have all the right types of fittings, and you may have to drill a couple of holes or drill and tap an item like the sprinkler valve. But other than that, they should go together relatively easily. And the kits start at about $100, and the cost can be lowered if you have machining capabilities yourself. And if you don't have that, you may want to plan on about $150 to $180 for a 17 or 19 inch sprinkler valve type antenna launcher. Are they high tech? They are definitely high tech. And interestingly, these launchers appear to be low tech because when you see the components like PVC piping, it looks like it's a fairly low tech device. But dozens of the different models have been built, analyzed, software predicting performance, and many people have made modifications and enhanced them for even higher performance. They're generally scaled to be designed to fit in a Rubbermaid tote, so that you can carry them around relatively easily with all their little accessories like tennis balls and the reel and maybe the line that you want to launch. The airflows at close to the speed of sound. It's really interesting when you read about these things. It's very impressive how they get the performance of that. And the tennis balls exit at about 400 times the force of gravity. So it's pretty amazing. Now a professionally served tennis ball may exit at about 800 times the force of gravity. So it's less than a properly served tennis ball, but so it's about as safe as that is. And a number of these, the kits may use 3D printed parts or a 3D printed line reel that mount on the end of the barrel so that it feeds out the line fairly easily. And some use specially machined parts for higher performance. Now, what are some of the specs? They typically weigh from between 5 and 10 pounds, which is easy to carry around. Everything fits, as I mentioned, in a 10-gallon Rubbermaid tote, except possibly for the bike pump. They're usually 17 to 19 inches overall length, and the typical kits, like the compact sprinkler valve 19, which will shoot a tennis ball and a line attached to it, fishing line attached to it, typically 150 feet at maybe 50 PSI, or the shorter version with a little smaller pressurized chamber, maybe 130 feet at 50 PSI for the tennis ball and the fishing line. And the max pressure is usually about 80 PSI to keep everything together and to not overstress the plastic PVC. How do you fill the pressurized chamber? Well, the easiest and cheapest way is to use a bicycle pump, where you put your foot on the, hold it down with your foot, and then you pump the bike pump. Some people use a CO2, and it's a little faster, but it's more costly. Some hams use battery-powered air pump. Of course, they're heavier, and you need to recharge the batteries, and you know, they just weigh more. Or you could use a small 6-gallon air tank for about 15 shots at 50 psi. So here's a photo of the. This is not too different from Phil's, and except that the real holder on the end of the barrel is a little bit different than Phil's. But so again, it's the tennis ball with a little line attached to it is shoved inside the barrel. The chamber's pressurized, and then you aim and press the release button, and away it goes. What did I do for my 70-foot palm tree? Okay, I tried the palm tree climber. You saw that didn't work. And then the neighbor drone, I declined. I had a entertainment guy with the shutdown of much of the entertainment business, offered a boom truck for about 4 hours minimum cost, and I declined that. I have no idea what 4 hours of a boom truck might cost. I decided not to use my slingshot or crossbow, and Phil was nice enough to loan me his pneumatic launcher, and that's what I wound up experimenting with. So, and there's a view from my back porch, patio porch, looking westward, and the horizon here is actually the Sacramento River levee, and that palm tree was planted in about 1964, and it's the last one remaining. And if you look, you can see that it looks like I've got trees all around my property here. I've got a tree to the left and a tree to the right. And if we look at the view from across the street, there in the center is the palm tree. So this is about a 70-foot palm tree. And I am blessed with having about a 56-year-old redwood tree that dwarfs it, and then another tree on the corner of the property. So I've got some tall trees that I could play with, which is good. Let's see what happened here. Okay, so what are some of the palm tree challenges that I found? I tried using the fishing reel, and for whatever reason, it wound up breaking the fishing line. So I don't know what I was doing wrong. So I used a small paracord line or like a survey line, one of the yellow lines that you use for making surveys or for line levels. So I used that as a small line, and Phil recommended that I'd lay the line on a tarp, and you would lay it back and forth and lay out more than the amount of line that you expect to need to go up and over the tree. And well, I tried that because there's a prevailing breeze from the west over the Sacramento River. I wound up having more trouble keeping the tarp down than anything else. So I abandoned that and just laid the line back and forth, and actually that worked out fine. And then while I'm doing that, one of the things I needed to do was assess the wind direction, because the line is going to follow the direction of the tennis ball generally, but then the wind's going to blow it a little bit. So what I would usually do is just take a small leaf and drop it and see which way it fell, and then use that with the wind in my back and aim for the high for the tree, and hope that the line launched on the treetop. The problem with palm trees is that you have a fairly small target area if you're trying to get right on the top center of the tree. But I was able to do that fairly well, but it did take a number of tries. And then my real problem, once I got the line over there, was pulling up the larger line. Now, Phil recommended using some Mylar tape to smooth the transition from the large line to the small line. And this was the result of that. The tree won, actually. Well, I had the Mylar tape cut down to sort of an arrowhead point, and the tree just wound up pushing that line and scrunching it up, and I was unsuccessful getting that heavier line over the tree. So what did I do? So I decided to take some tapered nozzles from a sealant tube, and here's an example where I cut the tip off and then used a bowline connection so that the lines would stay together. And then I tapered the tip a little bit, and that actually worked pretty well. I also found that you could take an instant glue nozzle that was nicely tapered, and I could cut the end off that. And sure enough, I did have success here. You could see the line. I'm holding the line off screen, but the line is going up and over the tree. And then I've got the feeder line, which is the yellow line, which is like the survey line. And that was my nozzle that I'd smoothed out a little bit. So that worked. So that did work. And so they work very well. If you want more information, there's a website, antennalaunchers.com, which has a tremendous amount of information and also kits for sale. Or you could Google pneumatic tennis ball launcher or pneumatic antenna launcher, and there's quite a bit there, websites that you can go to. Or you can go to YouTube videos and look for antenna launcher or tennis ball antenna launcher, and there's quite a bit of information there. Let's see, in summary, the pneumatic tennis balls launchers are the best. They're the safest. They work well for virtually any tree that you would probably want to cast a line over. And the palm trees I discovered are probably the toughest because of the tough branches or leaves on those palm trees, but it can be done, and I really want to thank Phil for graciously loaning me his pneumatic launcher. So now let me get out of this and come on now. Let's see here. And let me go to a couple of very short videos. Come on. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this fellow, he refers to himself as the Mad Machinist. And what he did here was he used 4 metal fire extinguisher bottles and then a pipe manifold coming together to his own, as a machinist, to a custom valve that he made. And that valve is able to have about a 2-inch, close to a 2-inch diameter, which is huge. So you've got a tremendous capability for going well over 80 PSI. And then when you exhaust it to the tennis ball, it's a very quick responding valve with a huge amount of pressure and volume, and then shoots the ball. And this is what it looks like. Oh, come on, cut that out. I was right there.
How do I launch my antenna?
Just a minute.
Hi.
Come on. Oh, no thanks. Here we go. Start.
want to do. And that's what I wanted to do. So I built one. Oh. Damn.
Okay, so it just goes.
Well, what did you think?
Anyway, so that just goes. Here's another one. Here's a fellow that has one that looks like a 17-inch. He just finished pumping it up. Fairly small.
New record.
So you can see that was up there for a good amount of time. And the last one, there's a fellow that's testing it out indoors. Anyway, so that's, let's see here. How do I get back? Okay, hold on.
I think the stop sharing is at the top.
Okay, there we go. Okay, and then I'm, okay. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Larry. That was great. Do we have any questions for Larry?
I have one. You didn't say what antenna you did put up. How long of a wire is this?
Well, I chickened out. So the reason I chickened out is because I have a G5 RV inverted dipole that I was going to mount up there, and part of it would have been over the access to the levee, and I was concerned with the tree being diseased, that it may not be up there or it might come down at some time. So I did not put the antenna up, and I'm now looking more at putting up a probably a vertical or maybe something like what Phil has done, but possibly close to full size, and using the redwood tree or one of my other trees. I really wanted the inverted V, but I was concerned that it would be, part of it would be over the levee, and there's maintenance trucks that go by, and I didn't want to create a problem. So I chickened out on that. So, but any other tree would be much easier than the palm tree. Those are really tough because of the they're tougher than most trees because of the hard surface of the leaves. So anyway, anything else?
You've got that end-fed sloper option too, right?
Yes, actually, I think that probably makes the most sense, and I've got enough height to do that, so I probably don't need to base load it very much at all.
What modifications are made to the valve so that it opens quickly?
Okay, the valve. Well, actually, Phil was the one that did the machining of it, but the valves are, as they come from sprinklers, are designed to open fairly slowly. So there's a very small port for the solenoid valve. And what is done is you take and you drill a hole that's larger, about maybe 3/8 of an inch or so, and then tap that and connect it to the nozzle. So that's for the sprinkler valve. To do higher performance valves, people make their own, and it requires some type of special machining, usually a lathe, to do that. But the idea is to get as much square area as possible to go to the one or more pressurized chambers, and some people will use excuse me, 2 pressurized chambers if you want to get additional air volume, and then have a higher, or they might use 2 sprinkler valves. So you double the amount of air volume that can come out by having a second tank.
What I did in that case, Bob, was the trigger is actually a little pneumatic blow-off gun. You know, if you got hot air you want to clean debris away with, that's the actual trigger, and it's 3/8 National Fine pipe thread. And when you release that, it's a pilot valve against the diaphragm, and it drops that valve out in no time at all. It's pretty quick.
Larry, I've got a question.
Sure.
I was looking at the cord that you were using tied onto the yellow feed line, and I've tried putting up an antenna without a launcher, but just using the gauge of the yellow cord, so to speak, and the antenna stayed up, and I'm trying to learn more about this, and your thoughts on how big the cord needs to be to hold the antenna.
Well, what I used was like survey line initially. So that's the yellow cord. And then the trick is to get a paracord line that's the next size up. And that's maybe maybe an 1/8 or 3/16 of an inch in diameter. And then as long as it fits within the cone that you use to provide to smooth the transition between the small cord to the big cord. So I used a bowline knot so that the lines would stay together, and then was able to just fit it in through the larger end of the arrowhead shaped nozzle, and that worked fairly well. So, but the trick is to get something more than 100 feet if you can. A lot of the paracords that you pick up at the hardware stores aren't any longer than 100 feet. So, so that's kind of the trick. And you may have to order it from Amazon or something like that. Or there's different paracord suppliers that you could get, where you can get one single continuous line, which is the trick, that's longer than 100 feet.
Great, thank you. That's a very interesting presentation.
Thank you.
I just have a quick question. How do you connect the cord to the ball that is thrown out by the machine?
There's usually like a fishing line, maybe a 50-pound fishing line that you just take a needle and thread that through the outer skin of the tennis ball, and then make a circle of that. You just knot the end of it, and then you connect to that loop.
Okay, simple enough. Thank you.
It is. I did have, let's see, I think one of the tennis balls got caught up in the tree, and when I pulled on it enough, and it actually tore the skin of the tennis ball, and then the tennis ball came back down. So, but for launching it, it works fine. And some of the people that use more power or want a higher launch some people, some of the hams will use and put lead shot inside the tennis ball, which defeats part of the safety somewhat. But if you're running out of pressure, you might be able to put some lead shot in there and get a little better performance that way.
We used something like this for field day a couple of years ago, and you mentioned the paracords are about 100 feet. We ended up tying a couple together because we had a tree that was fairly far away and up. So that threaded through this particular tree. It sounds like the palm fronds will just bind on anything. So
boy, it sure seemed that way. So yeah, that's what I found, is that they were really rugged. And Phil, I did talk to Phil about it several times, and he said, oh, I normally just use Mylar tape and just smooth the transition and it works great. But for most trees, that's fine. But boy, you're right. The palm fronds are probably the most difficult. But it's actually kind of a fun thing. And the sound is not so loud that the neighbors come out, unlike a firearm or something, or a 22 firing off.
Well,
So,
I think the color yellow is useful too. We used a black line and couldn't see it once it was in the tree. Until it was finally lowered, we could finally see the ball.
yeah, that's pretty cool. Yep. Anyway, it was an interesting thing to experiment with, and I learned quite a bit. Any other questions? Okay, then I guess I'm done. Thank you very much, guys, for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Larry.
Thanks, Larry. That was great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks, Phil. I really appreciate you loaning me that.
It was an interesting experience, wasn't it?
It really was.
You spent days trying to get that line over that tree.
I did. Yeah.
Nothing like something to keep you busy.
You mentioned it was a tennis ball. I actually tried using a tennis racket and knocking it over, but knocking it straight up is pretty difficult with anything, or even throwing it over something. So anything that's straight up, that's the way to go.
Right. Oh, it works really well. It's very impressive how well it works.
Several years ago, when I worked at MCI at the data center, we had a summer event where it was so hot, and we had a brand new CEO who came up from corporate headquarters in Southern California, ordered a water truck full of water and a half a dozen or so 55-gallon empty drums, and invited everybody to appear in the parking lot the next day with their favorite squirt guns.
Wonderful.
We had a pickup truck with some 2x2s sticking in the stakes holes in the side of the truck, and a piece of, I guess it was about 7 or 8 foot long surgical tubing about the size of your finger, with a saddle that we made out of a piece of scrap naugahyde. And we were launching 2-inch diameter heavy duty balloons, the great big ones, only we only blew them up 2 inches with water. We were launching them over the data center and through the parking lot behind it, probably a distance of about 600 feet.
Oh, wow.
And then they told us to knock it off because people were getting bombed by water balloons.
Well, you could take out
nowhere.
take out a car windshield.
But anyway, why couldn't you use something like that to launch something over a tree?
You could.
It's like a giant slingshot.
You could, but the difficulty is being able to aim it properly.
Oh, we didn't have any problems aiming it. It went exactly where we told it.
Well, Larry can share with you the difficulty of aiming that thing right over the top of that palm tree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You've only got a couple of feet, one side or the other.
Yeah.
And you're also concerned about where it's not just the ball, but it's where the line is that's attached to it that gets blown by the wind a little bit. So it's a little tricky.
Yeah. We had a palm tree in our backyard, and I am familiar with how resistive the fronds are to any kind of manipulation, including grinding, because when we had it taken out, the professionals chipper, it stalled it when they tried putting the fronds through it. They have a mind of their own.
Yeah, besides the 6-inch thorns on them.
Yeah. Just the thorns alone are enough to stop anything going through them.
Yeah, that's true.
Except rats and squirrels. Oh, well.
Yeah, burning them's the only way I've ever gotten rid of them.
Yeah. Well, we found they fit real nice in our greenway and let the county worry about it.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah, of course, when we had a good windstorm, we ended up with 2 or 3 of the neighbors that say, "Yeah, you can fill my can," and we clean up the backyard and
Yeah.
because they are. So we took it out and put a shed there. The shed's useful. The tree was not.
Yeah.
They are so pervasive that the county, what do they call that? Where you take all your junk.
Recycle.
It's not recycle.
Refuse.
Yeah, the refuse place.
Landfill, the transfer station.
Yeah,
Transfer station. That's it. They didn't want palm fronds. No palm fronds.
Interesting.
You can't get rid of them.
Oh, well, anyway. Crazy, crazy trees.
Yeah.
Johnny Mop sticking up all over the landscape.
Carl?
Carl?
Yeah.
Yes. What is that behind you? That's interesting.
It's the control station of a Mark 108 Jeep, a Ford Air Control.
Huh.
What is it?
A Mark
think we're in a
108
war.
Jeep from Vietnam. UHF, VHF, and HF radios in a Jeep.
Ah, I see.
Okay, the color's right.
Looked familiar.
Yeah. Okay, that's different.
Yeah, you can set your background if you've got the app.
Yeah.
You can change your background.
Okay. So did you get to experience using those?
I never ended up in Nam, but I had it stateside.
So you're familiar with the equipment, but not the off.
No. I fixed radios in the Air Force during Nam.
Okay, cool. Better to be a technician than a warrior.
Well, actually, the driver and everything was a radio troop. There was an officer assigned to you to talk on the radios, but you had to maintain the radios and the Jeep and the generator and all that.
So even over there was somebody that was a technician in harm's way.
Yeah.
Okay, it still would have been an interesting job and a lot better than shooting at somebody. Anyway, you look
Except
at it.
you got shot at because you were bringing in the aircraft.
Ah, you're the ones that were telling them where.
Yep.
Okay.
Forward observer.
The aim.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that is kind of one of the strategies in wars, take out communications and then everybody else is in trouble.
Yeah. The generator on the Jeep was about 16 inches long, 6 inches in diameter, and it had an amp gauge that told you whether you could run UHF, VHF, or HF. Because if you weren't, if you weren't on the gas and you keyed up the HF rig, it would stall the engine. So you had to know, or else you had it had a trailer with a generator that you could pull behind it to power the rigs too.
Oh, they were not solid state energy efficient equipment what at all.
No, it was 1960s design.
Yeah, 50 years will do that to you. Makes a difference. Makes a difference. Yeah, now we call our KX3s, right?
All right, everyone. Should we wrap it up for this month?
Ah, it sounds like we covered all of our bases. We're going to contribute to Weave. Larry did a good good presentation. We know who the officers will be next year. Sounds like we got it covered.
I think we're
Yeah,
all
but
set.
Larry didn't tell us what's going on with all his Corvairs.
Oh. I'm spending all my time working on my RV that was in the front driveway there. So,
What's your RV?
It's a 22-foot Ultravan RV, a small classic RV that most of them were Corvair powered of all things, but this one has an Olds Tornado 455, so it's quite different. So, but I'm spend most of my time working on that. So,
what kind of things are you doing to it?
Oh, right now I'm installing the windshields. There's like 3 windshields that are on the front of it, and I've got a 100-watt solar panel that I'll be putting up, and then installing about a 3 kilowatt inverter in there. So sine wave inverter.
Okay, yeah, we can appreciate that. We purchased a 14-foot cargo trailer V-nose, and we refurbished it into a RV, put a galley in it, and I think we've got 3 solar panels up. Those are what, Hank? What's the capacity of the solar panels each?
They're 100 watts each, and then we've got 2 100 amp hour batteries.
Oh, nice.
And then we did a large inverter because we put a small refrigerator in there, and we wanted something that could handle running the fridge while we were driving down the road.
Be aware of this, Larry. As soon as you start hanging inverters on that thing, it gobbles up current like you wouldn't believe. You figure 10 times what your output amperage is what you're going to be pulling from the batteries.
Yeah, we learned it the hard way. My mom used a CPAP, and we bought batteries thinking, and we were thinking, oh, 100 amp hours. And we drained it before she woke up in the morning, and it was like, oh, 10 to 1. We didn't think about that.
Yeah.
And
in our current rig that we've got now, the refrigerator only pulls about 3.5 amps, but it's sucking almost 40 amps out of the battery every time it comes on.
Wow.
And that's why we went with 300 watts, because we couldn't keep the batteries charged up overnight.
I see.
If it was just simply plugged in. But anyway, it's one of those things where you learn your math.
That's true.
And that.
Anyway, we figure about 10 times. About 10 times.
But we did set it up so that we can do it. We can run it on shore power, and we also made it so that we have a power station for doing our ham station in the rig and that sort of thing. Particularly since we got psyched up over the APRS, because if you travel, you can log your travel using the APRS on 2 meters. And it's nice to be able to, when you're done traveling, to go back and look at the map and say, ah, that's where I've been. You know, that sort of thing. So it's kind of cool.
Very good.
So. The inverter that we've got in there is a 2 kW, 2000 watt inverter. And We also have a microwave oven in there, but if you turn it on, it almost immediately blows the supply fuses because they're only rated at about 30 amps. That's not near enough.
Anyway,
Because
we're back to that 10 to 1 thing.
probably pulling close to a kilowatt at 120 volts. So that's, you know.
That's only 8 amps.
Beg pardon?
That's only 8 amps at 120 volt.
But if you're pulling it off of a battery, then it is
Then you got to factor in the efficiency of your inverter.
Yeah, well, it's pretty efficient, but even so, it works out about 10 times, Phil. That
Right,
8
it
amps
would
turns
be-
into 80 amps real quick.
Right, that's exactly right. It would be 10 plus you multiply it by the efficiency of the inverter. So
Yeah.
it gets pretty hairy pretty quick.
Yep.
It's a learning experience. I think we've done a little learning, so now I think we actually could use it. But the first pass was like, duh.
You know, and instead of a microwave to reheat stuff, just drag out your propane torch.
Right. And actually, the idea of the
Actually, we
microwave,
have a 3-burner propane stove in the trailer
so
built in. But anyway,
we figured on being able to park it and use shore power for things like the fridge and the microwave and anything else that was a high draw. It's just that if you are traveling, you still need to keep things that should be cold. And so we wanted to have that part covered while we were moving and plug it in when we get where we're going.
we probably never used the microwave off of the inverter. We might use it off of
Shore power.
We have a 4,500 watt dual fuel generator that we haul around with us too. We'd probably just use that to run the microwave.
Hey guys, before we wrap up for this evening, Carol has a couple of announcements that she'd like to make.
Okay.
Before we wrap up.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Kevin. I'm sorry for got some sad news here. First of all, in my role as ARL Sacramento Valley Section Manager, the director for the ARL Pacific Division, that's K6JAT, Jim Teamstra, suddenly passed away this past Friday. And he was very, very active in the ARL as an attorney, helping out with a lot of legal aspects of what the ARL is doing. And it's quite a surprise to us all. We don't have really any specific information about how he passed away, but there was an announcement came out in the ARL news a couple days ago. So that's,
he was quite a character. I remember him.
Yeah, he was a very friendly guy, you know, and he really gave a lot for many years as vice director under W6RGG, and then finally as director for the past couple of years. So the other announcement I have to make is GM. Some of you might know WA6CDE, GM Anthor. He was very active in education in the community, the amateur radio community. He actually gave a series of talks to the River City RCARCS on magnetism and electricity, and his handouts are on our website. And he suddenly passed away yesterday, so that's really sad. But I have spoken to him several times on the air. Again, his call was WA6CDE, so just needed to make those announcements. So we just keep losing some of the old timers here for one reason or another. So it's good to see that more young people getting into the amateur radio service, and we really need to continue promoting it that way. Thank you.
Indeed. May he rest in peace.
Amen.
Thanks, Carol. Do we have anything else before we wrap up for tonight?
Remember, net tomorrow, net 8 o'clock.
Okay.
Oh, what about December? Are we having a meeting in December?
Yeah, did we decide we would still have an online meeting? So we won't have the holiday party, but we'll still do an online meeting like this instead. I think, Tom, you said you might have a presentation ready? Not to put you on the spot, but...
Yeah, actually, there was another topic that we thought about as well.
Okay.
Either it'll be January or December.
Okay.
They sound like good topics.
Tom, I did find an article on plasma antennas.
Okay.
I'll send you some information. You might find it interesting.
Yes, he did the plasma antenna thing recently. Yes, thank you.
We were going
Anyway.
to do the award for the December meeting, right?
Yes.
The off rank.
Yeah, we'll do
We
that as
need
well.
to. So that's important.
Actually, I have the flamingo near me, actually. But I wasn't going to talk about the flamingo. But if you ever hear me on the radio and I say I'm on the flamingo, that's the thing I'm talking about.
If you get a few of them, Tom, can you make a beam?
Well, that's what I was thinking. Phil should make it a phased flamingo, maybe two, one on either end, and you could favor one direction over the other and get.
Well, in that case, you'd have to current feed them with a quarter wave and a 3/4 wave feed line section.
Just to be complicated.
But fun for those of you who enjoy.
Just happy to get one flamingo. I'll show it off if we have field day. This is going to be used in some way. It actually does work.
It's certainly good for overnight. You can see what you're doing.
Yeah, I don't know if it collects bugs or not. We'll find out.
It's over there.
All right. Well done.
Yes. And again, thank you, Larry.
You're welcome.
That was a great job, Larry.
Thank you.
Hit the ball out of the park, sort of like the tennis ball.
Yeah.
Thank
Put
you
the,
very
the ball over the tree.
Yeah.
Very good. Thanks, Larry.
You're
All
welcome.
right, thanks, everybody. All right.
Okay.
Stay safe.
Night.
Catch up with you next
Have a
month.
pleasant evening and happy election day.
There you
Oh yeah.
Hope so.
As long as the best guy wins.
Yeah. There you go.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody.